There's no cure for this one. There's no cure for this one.
We're here at Melbourne Muscle. We're going to do a bit of a posing class, boys. We're going to look at the things that you should be paying attention to when you hit your mandatory poses and a couple of common mistakes. Obviously, we've got Matt Smedley here and Justin Wessels. They're both masters of their craft, so you might notice a little bit of individual variation between the two. There's no such thing as a perfect pose. There's just the best pose for your body type. So that's what we're going to go through today.
So we're going to start off with the front double bicep pose. I'll get both you boys to hit the front double bicep, please. One thing that I guess I've found difficult over the years is just keeping the legs nice and hard through the pose. Obviously, we're looking up top at the upper body, the biceps, shoulders, coming into the chest and all that. For me, one of the biggest things was keeping the legs nice and hard, keeping it nice and tight, pushing the knees out slightly and concentrating on the lower half. Scotty?
Yeah, there's a couple of common mistakes that people make, and that's shrugging their shoulders up. That's a classic example there, Justin, thank you. The other one is a low elbow position. People try to overflex their lats and they drop their elbows too low, which reduces the taper and the overall width and impressiveness of the pose. One thing I picked up on then is the boys use a slightly different stance. Justin prefers to pop one leg out, probably shows off a little bit more detail in the sartorius, whereas Matt just likes to hit it front on, which is obviously showing the big sweep on his quad. So both have adopted a different stance that highlights their physique strengths.
So Scotty, are we going for the vacuum? Are we going for the abs flex down and hard? We're going in between? What's going on?
We're going for the one that suits your physique the best. So Matt, I noticed that you hit a great one with the vacuum, which is a perfect example. And Justin, on stage before, I've seen you hit it, but really crunch down on the abs and show off the midsection definition. Both perfectly acceptable. All right, next pose is the front lat spread. So the thing we're looking for here is maximum upper body taper and the biggest quad sweep you can get. So pushing the knees out again, lifting the rib cage up is generally the best way to do it. There's a couple of things I see people do wrong on a regular basis, and that's bringing their hands way too far forward, which just reduces the overall impressiveness and upper body width in the pose. And another common one is incorrect hand positioning, sometimes going too high. So again, it's about finding the correct position for your physique and maximising your strengths and minimising your weaknesses.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the side poses. We'll go the side chest first up. So one thing with the side chest pose is we want a nice tight hammy and we want to be able to really flex this glute on this side. I know Justin's a master of it. If we could see it right now, his glute would be rock hard, would see it feathered. So it really gives the appearance of you being, complete package overall, really hard up top. But if you relax that glute, it can make you look soft down below. So nice tight glute in that pose.
Another important thing to look at, Matt, if you wouldn't mind, is the way the boys rotate their upper body around. So what we're trying to do is keep the hips perfectly side on to minimise the width of the waist and then maximise the impressiveness of the upper body by rotating around like that. So go straight to the side tricep, boys. All right, there's two obvious differences straight away with the positioning of the feet. Justin is emphasising the hamstring drop, and Matt's actually showing off the hamstring of his back leg while spiking his calf. So two different perfectly acceptable methods of doing it. Again, keeping the waistline as tight as possible, rotating the shoulder back as far as you can, and pushing the back shoulder forward. Again, maximum upper body width, minimal angle from the waist. So
if you boys could spin around, then we'll go for the rear double bicep pose. So spiking one leg back, the boys sitting back. I like to make sure I'm sitting on both the balls of my feet. One thing again, although we're looking at the upper back, we're looking at the biceps, we're looking at everything up here, we need glutes and hammies on. There's nothing worse than hitting a mad, most muscular pose where your upper body's looking rock hard and you just relax the glutes. It makes you look very soft. And a competitor who potentially isn't as lean as you can look leaner than you by flexing their glutes and their hammies and looking nice and hard.
a couple of the common mistakes you might see in that one is odd foot positions. You want to create an equal flare in both legs. So when you pull one leg back and push your leg out, you don't want to keep that leg straight on. That's flared out beautifully, but this leg's more straight. So as he pushes it out, it creates a much more symmetrical image for the judges. The other thing you want to make sure you do is arch back nice and hard to show all that detail in the upper and lower back. All right, next up we have the rear lat spread. Gentlemen, face the rear of the stage. So not only will you notice some insane muscularity as these boys go into the pose, and always remember the transitions between poses count as well. And again, we want the maximum flare from the quads and we want the maximum flare in the lats. Common things guys do wrong is pull the shoulders way too far forward. Justin, and they hunch over like that, which just minimises the impressiveness of the pose.
If we might see, because we've got the boys looking in killer nick, if we can have a look at your lower back as you're reaching forward, then they pull their elbows back as far as they can. You get to see that nice Christmas tree, which, you know, is almost the pinnacle of bodybuilding, that and serrated glutes. So if you're that lean, you definitely want to be showing that off to the judges. Very important.
All right, next up, we've got the ab and thigh pose. Now, what you do with your leg is, again, going to be up to the individual themselves. I'm not sure if they're going to adapt a different style. Some people like to keep their leg bent. Some people like to lock their leg down. It all depends on what looks best on your physique. But again, we're trying to create flare through the upper body, a perfectly tight midsection, and legs locked on.
Going into the last, well, it's not a compulsory pose, but it's the money maker. I believe it's the one that's going to really show off your muscularity and put you over the line. It's the most muscular, so there's a million different variations. But without a doubt, or in my opinion, this is the one that will really set you apart from everyone else. So this is your big money maker. This is the one you want to come to life. The idea of this pose is just to show off everything you've got that shows you in the best light possible. So there's a few variations. Maddie's doing a bit of a bent over crab. Justin's the upright. Justin's going to hit his bent over there. So it's just showing off maximum muscle. This is the one that's going to really get you over the line. Like to come out on stage personally and hit this one straight away. If I'm looking good, draw the eyes to you. And with these boys looking like they are, I'd be saying they'd be doing the same when they step out on stage.
All right, gentlemen, you made me feel incredibly fat, so well done. That is the mandatory poses.